At the start of this, I know a lot of people were frustrated when they were trying to get very basic, or what seemed like very basic items like toilet paper, hand sanitizer, things that you really didn't think too much about became rarities. All right, Double I Squad, welcome back to the follow-up of Is You Ready? Is you ready for that second round with the Rona? This week's episode, I'm going to piggyback off of what we started last week in terms of preparedness. Make sure that you are mentally prepared and that you have your ears open, because we're posing some questions mid-episode to kind of get your juices flowing, and they'll be discussed in another episode in the future. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your water. Let's chop it up. For some of us, we're in really cold climates, and the Rona hit when things were still kind of chilly, but we knew they were warming up. If this second wave hits, we'll be going into fall and into winter. So you want to make sure you have adequate things to keep you warm: blankets, heaters, freestanding or solar-powered items, solar-powered stoves and heaters. And I'm talking about things that don't require electricity. One of the coolest things I've seen in my life, and this is just me, it's not really cool, but I think it's cool, is when I look at some of these people who have made prepping their way of life, and they make functional things that you need out of very basic items. So I've seen people make a dope grill type stove thing out of cinder blocks, and they construct it in such a way that it has like a chimney, so it releases fire. You can control the heat on it, and you basically make it out of cinder blocks and aluminum foil. I've seen stoves made out of cardboard boxes lined with aluminum foil that you stick hot coals in, and you can bake cookies, make a pizza out of it, all of these cool different things. To me, that's fascinating. Again, just be prepared for whatever. You don't know. Things to cook with. You can't be out here with that flimsy, non-stick, shishi pot and pan set that you got from Dollar General or Walmart when you moved into your first apartment, or when you were in your college dorm. That's not going to make it. So invest in some iron skillets, Dutch ovens, and things like that. And of course, while we're on the topic of cooking and stoves and things, you got to have some lighters and matches. You're not going to be able to light your candles or your stove without those things. For some people, those of us who grew up in the country or in rural areas have generators. And there are some companies that, for people who live in suburban areas, they have like electric generators that are attached to the side of your house, and they just kick on automatically. Some people may think, if this prolongs and your house is the only house with electricity, that could be a safety issue, but that's another topic for another day. Again, this is general preparedness. And I think that's something that would be a wise investment, especially if you're cool with your neighbors. You know what I'm saying? You live in a house, or you live on a dope street and you're cool with your neighbors. Somebody investing in a generator with, coming together and having one person store or have the generator. I don't know, just throwing it out there. Also, likewise for like a freezer, because you can lose a lot of food that can sustain your family and others around you by just not having electricity. So maybe the person with the generator also have the freezer. I'm again just throwing it out there. Preparedness. This is why community is kind of important. I'm not saying be super friendly with everybody. Sometimes your neighbors suck. It is what it is. And then sometimes you've been living in the same place for 10, 20 years and y'all are cool. So if they are like-minded, or if you live in a house with relatives, then these are the type of items that you can kind of come together and purchase as a unit, as a group, for the goal or for the benefit of everybody. And on a more personal level, especially in terms of being prepared for weather, I know as a grown woman, I do not have a raincoat. I'm not out here looking like Columbo. I just don't have one. And I feel like that would be something that I would probably want at some point if things get bad. I would probably not want to go outside in a fleece while it's pouring down rain. So we need to kind of think of how we can prepare personally for these situations. And I think one of the best ways we can do that is by having clothing. All season wear. I made the remark about Columbo's raincoat, but really that dude rocked that no matter what the weather. I mean, he was in California, but still, you get the idea. But also having the right type of rain boots in general. It seems petty, but if you have to walk, you're not going to want to walk in regular construction butters Timbs. That's not what you want to be out walking in. They're not even waterproof. What you would want to walk in would be like the hiking joints. They have ankle support. They are waterproof and they typically shield against the cold also. So waterproof boots that you can walk in, boots that are not solely for style or fashion. You want to have something that you don't mind getting dirty, you don't mind getting wet, and that will actually keep your feet dry and safe. Umbrellas, having more than one umbrella. And I know that's hard because before BC, before Corona, most people would bring their umbrella and set it down someplace. And if it wasn't raining by the time you needed it again, then you just left it where it was. And that's how we lost a lot of things. But again, another reason why you need to be prepared and have more than one of everything. If you have children, to me, this is important. Having winter coats. And again, we have some people who aren't able to do that for their children. That's why it's important for you to donate whatever clothing you can. If your child has outgrown anything, please donate those things. Don't sell those things. Give them away. Especially now, if you need blessings in your life, you need to give away some stuff. You need to let go of some things and be a blessing to other people. So give away them old clothes. They can be layers to someone or children who are less fortunate, and get yourself and your family, if you can afford it, new winter items. It doesn't have to be cute. It just needs to be functional. Get something with the hood, get something that's waterproof, get something that's large enough that you can put a couple of layers on underneath it. Because again, we're talking about being prepared. Gloves, scarves, hats, socks. Now is the time to get these things because it's about to be 90 degrees for the next foreseeable future. So while nobody else is thinking about it, get these items while they're discounted, while they're cheap. I know the stores are actually offloading and deeply discounting their summer items. So yeah, get you some t-shirts and things like that to go underneath your clothes now while they're cheap. But before fall gear kicks in, please do yourself a favor and get you and your family some heavy coats if you live in cold areas. Even if you live in the South, get you something, that doesn't have a hole in it. Because I know when I lived in the South, I literally wore a jacket maybe from December through maybe the first 2 weeks of February. But, fugazi weather happens. You never know. And again, this is a pandemic, so you don't know. So the point is to be prepared. All right, all my illegitimate intellectuals, the first round of questions are here. And I'm interested to see what everyone has to say and everyone's thoughts and answers are. So let's go with the questions. The first one is, why is it called the medical industry? And why do we trust this system? Next is, why is Bill Gates an authority on vaccination and healthcare? Does he have a medical degree? What is a conspiracy theory? What is a fact? What is a spin master? Looking forward to hearing everyone's answers, reading everyone's comments. engaging your illegitimate intellect. And of course, I know people got crazy with the food. Right now, I live in the North. I don't know 3 people that eat grits up here. Okay. I don't know 3 people personally that say they like to eat grits regularly. March 25th, 2020. I went to 3 different grocery stores, couldn't find any grits, couldn't find any flour. Now all of a sudden everybody's Betty Crocker. They know how to make biscuits. They know how to make cakes, bread, doing all of this stuff that nobody cared about doing before. All of a sudden everybody knows how to cook. So my point is, get you some rice, get you some grits, get things that you only need a little bit of, and it can feed you for a while. Not only you, but also your family, your immediate neighbors or whatever. In these types of situations, you got to be mindful of not only you. Things like dried beans. I know my Latinas, boy, and my Caribbean folk, y'all can work wonders with some rice and beans. And again, we from the South. My mama make the best Hoppin' John I've ever had in my life. But Caribbean and Spanish folk, y'all do y'all thing with the bean and rice. So, I mean, you can eat good on a lockdown. You know what I'm saying? If you have some of these items. Also, make sure you keep canned, of course, vegetables. In any other circumstance, I wouldn't advocate for that. But, you know, this is preparedness. We're not talking about the ability for you to go to the store and get fresh items or even frozen items. But again, if you got that freezer, you can do that. You can stock up on those things. But canned meats, I'm not going to lie, I love Spam. I eat Spam occasionally. So corned beef hash was in short supply. For some reason, manwich was missing. I don't know if y'all know this, but there ain't no meat in manwich. You got to add the meat. So things like that you want to have. Also got fruit because I guess I was afraid of getting scurvy during the Rona. So I got the canned fruit in water or light syrup because you don't want to get the beatus while you're on lockdown. So that's important. And y'all think it's a game, but really y'all need to stock up on the flour. And I feel sorry for people who have like gluten allergies because almond flour and coconut flour, they usually are more expensive and they come in smaller quantities. But if you know that that's something that you're allergic to, you need to stock up on those things. You don't have to buy it all at once, maybe once or twice a month until this pops off. You grab that, but you need to do something to make sure you have something that can kind of hold you down a little bit. So being able to make bread like rolls, things like that. Again, nothing that I would advocate for under normal circumstances, but you know, if things get tight, you got to do what you got to do. Cream of wheat, farina, oatmeal. All of these things are things that you should have anyway, but you're going to wish you had them if something pops off and you can't get access to them. So just a little short list of things. And of course, depending on what your cultural or ethnic or religious limitations may put on your food, make sure you have that. Make sure, like if you have allergies to anything, you're prepared for that. You're prepared for treating yourself if you have an allergic reaction. Which brings me to my final point, and that's medical supplies. And I think, if anything, people realized just how ill-prepared they were for that. And I went really ham on this because this kind of hit me like a cinder block. I was like, I don't even have CPR training. What if somebody in my house has a heart attack or something? And that became important to me, especially when there were reports coming out that if you had a pre-existing heart condition or something along those lines, like a pre-existing respiratory issue, that basically the ambulance wasn't going to rush to get to you and they weren't really going to try and save you before you got to the hospital. They were just going to let you die en route. So I think now while we have this bit of breathing room, wink, wink, pun intended, that we Learn CPR training. I don't know if they do it online. I think you kind of have to demonstrate it on the little dummy, but that's something that I think we should know. Again, I don't know how real it is, but the second wave may be more real. It may be a second drill, but nonetheless, regardless of which one it is, you need to be ready. Band-Aids, antiseptics, vitamins. Make sure you have vitamins that aren't expiring anytime soon. It does you no good to have vitamins that expire in September. All right. So go ahead and get you some fresh vitamins that have a little bit of a shelf life still left in them. And not just Band-Aids, but like the legit bandages, like the cotton patches, the ACE bandage wrap type things. Because again, you never know. You got to be prepared for everything. Alcohol, peroxide, witch hazel, cotton swabs, Q-tips, ice packs and heating packs. That was something that kind of hit me too. I was like, man, I only got one little square inch ice patch and my back hurts and I'm hot. So there are various things that you can have just to keep you comfortable and to minimize your pain if anything happens. And when you're thinking about, all right, having candles around, maybe having to deal with open flames, you got to have burn cream. We're in the summer months already, so you need to have bug cream, anti-itch creams, antihistamines. You need to have that. If you are on the EpiPen or anything like that, you need to have that on hand. You need to have a surplus of that also. So basically a surplus of any of your prescribed medicines. If you can get like that 90-day supply joint and stash that out or whatever, I don't know how people are able to do that based on funds, insurance, and all of that. But if whenever possible, try to have a surplus of your own prescribed medication. Things for upset stomach, Pepto, some Tums. I personally like to use acidophilus. When my stomach is upset, that's the good bacteria from yogurt, for those of you who don't know. And you can actually buy it in pill form as opposed to eating yogurt, especially if you have a problem with lactose. And pain relievers, fever reducers, especially if you have babies or toddlers who are teething or they fall and hurt themselves or something like that. Those are items that are good to have. Eye drops, nasal spray, petroleum jelly. I'm just throwing it out there. And again, it would be dope if people would leave comments and recommendations based on what they have in their household. When I was growing up, there was this thing, a cough syrup cure-all called 3-6. I don't know what it was called. Only people's grandparents had it. If your parents had it, it was because they got it from your grandparents. I've never seen a new bottle of it. And yet I know other people who had it. And it was like legit last resort item. If Robitussin or Dimetap didn't work, if what the doctor said didn't work, then my parents used 666. You take a spoonful of that and go to sleep and you wake up brand new, better than you were before. And well, I know there were some memes where a lot of, I guess, people from Puerto Rico and DR, Vicks is their thing, the vapor rub. I know a lot of Caribbean folks, they do that mixed with some rum. So whatever your remedies are, whatever you feel are absolute items that you need to have, herbs, things for cleaning. If you have any home remedies or chemistry formulas that can help clean either clothes or disinfect your home, please leave all of that. Comment, like, and share. We have to be mindful not only of ourselves, but of others. You know what I'm saying? Is you ready? Is your neighbor ready? Is your granny and them, is they ready? Make sure y'all is ready, because we don't know. This is your girl signing out. Illegitimate intellectuals, y'all. And I'm out.